Well, if you like good food and a good cause, you can find both this month with the Group Teen Challenge and their February Foodie Fair Drive. Here to talk all about this event is Director Michael Salinas. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Why don't you just start off with telling us about this food event that you have coming up?
So we had a lot of success back in August and September during the pandemic with the curbside event that we held at our campus. So we decided to do it again in February, the February Foodie Fair. You'll be able to get your favorites, the apple dumplings, peach dumplings, kettle corn, pulled pork, po' boys, corn dogs, and burgers. Burgers is the new item this time.
Awesome. Oh, it's making me hungry. It's only 6 and I'm ready for all those things. So why don't you tell us about how the pandemic has kind of impacted you guys in putting on these events? I know you mentioned the pandemic kind of led to creating a new resource.
Yes. Other than the curbside events that we've been successful with, a new resource, the Teen Challenge of Southern California, the whole network that ranges from San Diego to Reedley, California, and we're based here in Kern County. We've developed a 24/7 prayer hotline. And it's Teen Challenge staff and alumni that are on these phones waiting for somebody to call in that are hurting, that have family members that are hurting. We want to pray with you. We just want to talk with you and try to relieve some of the despair and anguish that's going on in the community and in the world today. I think it's a great resource, and it can also lead to some information and interviews for people that possibly want to get into our program.
Awesome. So what kind of impact do you hope that this new resource, as well as the Fair Food event, what kind of impact do you hope your organization has on Kern County?
It's spreading the word. Kern County Teen Challenge has been here since 1969, a little over 50 years. And the impact, it's a free program. Men and women 18 years and up that are struggling with drugs or alcohol or any life-controlling addiction, we're here for them. And we've always been, and we're open. And we continue to push and to help people that are having troubled times and that do need help. And also the family members. When someone goes through the program of Teen Challenge, the whole family goes through the program, So we want to reach out to everybody that we can and just touch them.
Definitely. And if Kern County residents want to support you guys, how can they kind of help your organization out during this time?
GiveTC.org. You can donate. You can also visit our Foodie Fair Eventbrite website, tcfoodiefair.eventbrite.com, and purchase some food, or you can also donate there as well. Those are probably the best ways to get to us. And of course, the drive-through, I know you can pre-order online there at the website, but you can also just come in from the hours of operation. It's going to be running all through February, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 12 to 8 p.m. You can just drive on through and place your order.
Great. Yeah. So just one more time, we're almost out of time, but could you give those details of someone, if they need to get more information, how can they attend this fair food event throughout this month?
You can call our main office here in Bakersfield, 1-661-399-2273. And that 24/7 prayer hotline is toll-free, 1-888-520-0620, toll-free.
Great. Well, Michael Salinas from the Teen Challenge, thank you so much. This sounds like a great event. So best of luck.
Callan, thank you.
All right, very nice. Let's bring in Elena Rusk and get a lesson in fog.
Will we get the fog? Will we not get the fog? It's that recipe, right? I'm stirring my cauldron. And we don't like fog. It's dangerous on our roadways. It's just kind of gloomy and gray out there. And it looks like we're just missing the recipe for today and likely tomorrow as well, because we do have the saturated soil after last week's rains. We do have the clearing skies, but there's still a bit of a wind out there stirring things up. And with that northerly flow continuing into tomorrow, tries to ruin that fog recipe for another day. But Saturday, it's looking pretty ripe out there for conditions. Let's get back to this morning. On this Thursday to start your day, we're at 40. Fog loves the 40s. It loves the saturated soil. We've cleared out, but see how there's still a little bit of that breeze? This will continue for the next few days, and it's actually going to create a bit of a Santa Ana wind event to our south. So those wind advisories still in place for them, even though ours have expired. Look at the cool air filling in with those 20s and 30s for much of our mountain and desert locations. It's chilly after that beautiful spring-like start to the week we had, but this is actually just getting us back on track for average, where we should be this time of year. So with that, with the cool air still coming in and a bit of that northerly flow, we get the clearing skies. We're still holding on to the good air quality. But we're also still in the 50s out there. And then tomorrow, a little bit more of a golden glow. That high pressure is building in, but you see on the front side of it, we still have that northerly flow and some high passing clouds. That's why I think your Thursday into your Friday doesn't have the best chance for that widespread fog. Saturday, though, a bit calmer, more steady. And so we're going to watch very closely to see if we get that fog development. By Sunday, you see we start turning a northwesterly flow, which then becomes west. All of that means a little bit of a breeze, some fresh air coming on shore, some high clouds, but not really a chance of rain in this extended forecast. We'll go from the 50s today to 62 tomorrow. Maybe some patchy fog, looking a little bit better for it to get widespread dense development by Saturday. We'll track it for Sunday, but after that, with that westerly flow, high clouds kind of chops off our temperatures, keeps them in those mid 60s, which is at or just above average for most valley locations. After that, some warming. So with this extended forecast, you're not really seeing any rain chances out there, and we have to monitor that fog here on the valley floor. You know that our South Mountains get the fog as well. Tehachapi and Fraser Park were just socked in yesterday. You're working on some more sunshine for this afternoon, but you still have that cool air mass in place. So low 50s for you today, upper 50s tomorrow, some 60s this weekend. Okay, that looks better. Look at the Kern River Valley though, 60s across the board. Let's now look at our traffic with CHP Officer Robert Rodriguez. Good morning.
Hey, good morning there, Elena. Good morning, everybody. Here on this Thursday, almost through the work week. Looks like, again, pretty quiet traffic commute here throughout Bakersfield and Kern County. Still no crashes to report. Looks like the fire department has done a great job knocking down that small trash fire there on behind the Denny's off of Rosedale Highway. So it was affecting the commute just a little bit through there on the 99, but again, not too bad now. And then those of you who are making your travels out of town, so far so good. Your major routes are all open. That's my look at traffic. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Still to come, a new study showing the impact of rapid COVID testing in schools. We'll have the results as the country looks to try and curb the spread. Plus, Great Britain studying the impact of a COVID vaccine if the doses are mixed. What they've discovered so far. 6:19. You're watching 23 ABC. 6:22 now. The pandemic has been an isolating experience for many people. It's even more so for people who have been waiting months, sometimes years, for an organ transplant. But as Maya Rodriguez explains this morning, technology is helping to bring that community of patients a little closer together.
For Megan Smith, the journey to get to her 20s was far from easy.
Started getting sick when I was about 19 years old, and I went to a bunch of different doctors, and they really couldn't figure out kind of what was going on with me.
But then her younger brother got sick too. Doctors discovered an unusual genetic anomaly that required both to get liver transplants. Megan's eventual donor, her uncle, who was a perfect match. But despite the support of her family, Megan still felt isolated.
Unless you've been in this really unique situation, it's hard to understand what is going through, what that person's going through, but not only physically, but also just mentally.
In the U.S. alone, there are about 114,000 people awaiting an organ transplant. About 39,000 patients get a transplant each year. The rest wait. Every day, though, 20 people die waiting for a transplant. But now a new online platform called Transplant Life is looking to offer hope.
It's not just about surviving with a transplant, it's about thriving.
A double transplant recipient herself, Karin Hienberger partnered with biotech company CSL Behring to start Transplant Life to help connect transplant patients with resources and each other.
Most people who go through the transplant process feel very much alone in the process and confused. And this is a way for them to connect and share experiences and learn from one another.
It's useful in the era of COVID-19, which has further isolated people. But even beyond the pandemic, transplant patients are often on immunosuppressants and have to be careful with whom they interact with in person. For Megan Smith, having a virtual way to find people her own age who are dealing with transplants is making a big difference.
But I'm just in a very different life place when it comes to working and, dating and all that kind of stuff. So being able to connect with other people in my age group to discuss these things has been so nice, especially during the pandemic when you can't connect with other people.
A group of people to lean on the road to recovery. I'm Maya Rodriguez.
Researchers are on a new mission to see if mixing and matching coronavirus vaccines is okay. British scientists are launching that study today. Current vaccines in circulation do require, as you know, 2 shots of the same serum weeks apart. As of right now, guidelines in both Britain and the U.S. indicate the only time the vaccines should be mixed if it's unknown what the first shot was or if the same vaccine isn't available for the second one. The study is aimed at seeing if this impacts the effectiveness or if there's any adverse side effects. Participants will receive the AstraZeneca vaccine as their first shot and Pfizer as their second.
A new study finds weekly rapid coronavirus testing can cut infections by 50% in high schools and 35% in primary schools. Those figures were the result of weekly antigen testing of all students, teachers, and staff. The Rockefeller Foundation partnered with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to make 20,000 tests available in 6 pilot cities. Those included Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. Each city developed testing programs that ran from October to mid-December. The study notes social distancing reduces transmission by an estimated 88%, so it is more effective than weekly testing. It also notes that everyone wears a mask and infections are cut by 40%.
If you need fertilizer for your plants, just give them the extra scraps of your food. According to research from UC Riverside, fermented food waste could be used to deliver beneficial bacteria to food plants. Now, they also found that beneficial microbes on crops, quote, increased dramatically when the food waste was added to plant growing systems in a greenhouse. Studies indicate the fermented food waste appears to help plants resist pathogens and could reduce carbon emissions in farming. Still much more to come in our final half hour. Straight ahead, another California university joining the fight against the coronavirus. We'll talk about those services that are coming later this month. 6:27. You're watching 23 ABC.
Live from downtown Bakersfield, 23 ABC News starts now.
The governor is continuing his push for schools to reopen. We'll tell you why he's saying teachers now don't need to be vaccinated before returning to in-person instruction. Plus, the federal government opening up a mass vaccination site at one Cal State University. We'll tell you why they selected it.
And the Kern High School District is kicking off their Black History Month, the celebrations that they're going to have and who they're going to honor coming up.
And a good morning once again. Thanks for staying with 23 ABC News at 6:30. I'm Mike Hart with Callan Hobman and Elena Rusk. And let's start off with a check of those wind speeds.
Much calmer, which is nice. It was a bit blustery through those mountains as forecasted, but it's still not fun to deal with, especially after Monday and Tuesday being in the 70s here on the valley floor and being so spring-like. Those winds came rushing in to remind us it's still February. Now they've calmed down a lot, but there's still a little bit of that northeasterly breeze that we'll be monitoring over the next several hours. Look at the cooling it has caused. We're down 13 degrees in Jawbone Canyon, down 12 degrees in Bear Valley Springs, down 11 here in Bakersfield from this time yesterday. But yesterday was falsely warm out there, though there was nothing warm about the 50s. 40 is where we should be for this time of year on average here on the valley floor. Further north, there's some 30s trying to form and a little bit of valley frost out there. That could happen again tomorrow morning. But for us here at home with this northerly flow, at least it has helped us clear skies out. Those winds calm down. It's just stirring up any fog development that tries to get widespread here on the valley floor. So you're good to go as you head out the door, but keep your sweaters with you all day. It's another afternoon of 50s, not just for the valley, but up into the Kern River Valley and down into some desert spots, low 50s, Tehachapi and Fraser Park. Much more on tomorrow's frost and fog chances and what it means for our weekend coming up. But first, let's look at roadways right now with CHP Officer Robert Rodriguez. Good morning.
Good morning there, Elena. Good morning, everybody. If you're just joining in, so far it has been a very nice traffic commute to Bakersfield. And again, no crashes to report or any major problems or issues happening out there. If you're going to travel your way out of town, again, all of your major routes are open. Please buckle up those seatbelts and slow it down. Always obey the speed limits while you're out and about. That's my look at traffic. We'll give it back to you in the studio.
4 years, the Kern High School District's campuses have had Black History Month programming, but in 2021, the lessons are taking on a new form. 23 ABC's Kristen Vartan joining us live once again from the high school district after speaking with organizers of the program. Kristen?
Mike, the Kern High School District had no idea they'd be holding their very first district-wide Black History Month during a pandemic, but they're still making sure that voices in the Black community are heard this year.
My dad used to say all of the time, not all people are like the people that you experience in the South. So you have to have an open heart and an open mind and let them get to know you and you get to know them.
Fuchsia Ward was born one of 12 on a plantation in the midst of segregation in Arkansas and moved to Bakersfield and an integrated school system 60 years ago. She spent the last few decades making a difference. First at the Bakersfield City School District, then at Kern High School District as an educator and then as a volunteer, whether at KHSD, Friendship House, or community school sites.
I don't know anything special that I do. This is my life.
But as far as Black History Program Committee organizers Janelle Burton and Keisha Owens are concerned, what she does is special.
She had to be first because she was the first for us, paving the way for us. She's done so much.
That's why she is one of 4 standout Black change makers connected to the district that will be featured on Kern High School District's Pioneers of Bakersfield series every week during Black History Month. Although Burton, born and raised in Bakersfield, says there are way more.
I just want to recognize community members that have done some great things in the community and have not been able to tell their story so that others can know that the road may be hard, but it can be manageable.
Owen says that every school individually is doing something for Black History Month in KHSD, but the Black History Month Planning Committee has created a district-wide collective to highlight them all on the Kern High network. It's been in the works for a couple years with the Superintendency, Black Student Union, Young Women Empowered for Leadership, and Project Best.
In school, we didn't learn a lot about our African-American history, as probably Keisha did coming from St. Louis. I feel I got my African-American history from my family, from the community, and from my church. But I think it's important that we educate our community and the ones that are coming behind us about our African-American history.
Features of the program include Pioneers of Bakersfield series, a digital classroom that will highlight different facets of African-American culture and history, videos of students cooking cuisines from their culture, and a Black Heritage Program virtual watch party on the 25th. After classes at 1:30, featuring a speaker, students giving Black history facts, and student performances, like a violinist performing a piece from an African-American composer. The Kern High School District plans to do the Pioneers of Bakersfield series every single year from now on. And they're also going to have all their programming on their website, which we'll have on our website, turn23.com. At the Kern High School District, Kristen Barton, 23 ABC News, connecting you.
Governor Gavin Newsom is aiming to get grades K through 6 back to school. Looking at data from schools that have already opened, Governor Newsom says that schools can reopen safely and that vaccinating teachers beforehand should not be a requirement. He continued to say despite January being a record-setting month for community spread and positive cases, only 87 of those cases came from schools. That's down from both November and December. Kern County Superintendent of Schools spokesperson Robert Massaro says Kern County is doing its best to open our schools.
I think it's really important to note that the vast majority of schools in Kern County have made a good faith effort to open to the extent possible. This isn't necessarily the case in other parts of the state.
According to the governor, the state has more than $6 billion that it will use to help schools keep students safe after reopening. The governor has also announced that Cal State LA will be used as a mass vaccination site that will be run by the federal government. The university was picked to help minority communities in its area that have been hit hardest by the pandemic. The site will open on the 16th this month, and the plan is to administer 6,000 vaccinations a day. Dr. Elon Shapiro from Boyle Heights says that in order to succeed, the site will also need to dispel any myths about the vaccine in those minority communities.
We need to start vaccinating our community against fear with a dose of truth. Because there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of myths out there, then we need to start dispelling them.
A similar site was also launched that would use the Oakland Coliseum to vaccinate Oakland residents. This morning, the number of Americans that have received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine is now higher than the number of cases in the United States. According to the CDC, over 26 million cases have been reported in the U.S. That same tracker says over 27 million people have received at least one dose of a coronavirus vaccine. This comes as the number of cases being reported is declining across the country.
Since the start of the pandemic, we have all worn different types of masks, but doctors at Dignity Health say we should move away from a certain type.
Right now, there are surgical isolation masks that you can get more readily, and we would recommend that you move from a cloth mask to a regular isolation mask, since we do have those now. You can get those, pretty much on Amazon or purchase them anywhere now, and those are actually better than your cloth mask, which will give you some better protection.
Dignity also said all those who wanted a vaccination at their facility have gotten one. Mercy Hospital is reporting nearly 1,000 vaccinations among its staff members. All right, let's bring in Elena Rusk and take another look at what we can expect on this Thursday.
Love this headline. Good air quality for another day, but it's only a point away from being moderate. That's still good. Let's just concentrate on the good part, right? But as you're looking at this, you're like, well, why is there no burning unless you have a good, I don't get it. Well, that's because it's only a point away from being moderate. We know we're heading into a steady weekend. So typically when air quality is in the good range, you get to have clean burning days, but that's not the case for today. And we will start to quickly lose this good air quality for the day ahead. But for now, we still have that northerly flow. We have that below average temperature still filling in with this cool air mass, leaving us at 40. That's down 11 degrees from this time yesterday. But this morning is seasonal. Yesterday was still falsely inflated because we had those beautiful spring-like 70s out there for Monday and Tuesday. Yesterday we fell to the 50s. Today we're staying in the 50s because of the breeze and the cool air mass. But we get some more sunshine. We're stabilizing. So again, it's the last of our good air quality for today. We're right back to the moderate range no later than tomorrow. Into the Kern River Valley area, some 30s this morning, some 50s this afternoon. You're also much cooler than you have been, but clearing and seasonal. Tehachapi and Fraser Park, those blustery winds came barreling through as forecasted yesterday. As they died down, now you're back to seasonal breezes. Highs in the 50s there, some 5 to 15 mile per hour breezes for Tehachapi and Fraser Park both. Look at those low 50s for them in the South Mountains as well. That leads to a lot more snow melt for our highest elevations where there's just a little bit left. Let's now take a look at our higher elevations. How are the passes doing, Robert?
Hey, Elena. Well, thank you very much. Our passes are looking really nice through Bakersfield, well, throughout Kern County. And again, no major issues happening out there. No fog, no strong winds, so good news there. No major climate issues to report today. For those of you getting ready to head out the door, our local freeways and our roadways through town are also in good shape. That's all the good traffic. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Robert, thank you. Still to come, we're talking about the Safely Surrendered Baby Law and why awareness is so important. That in a live interview coming up next, 6:41. You're watching 23 ABC. Welcome back. February is dedicated to many things, including awareness when it comes to the Safely Surrendered Baby Law. And joining us this morning to talk a little about it is the County Public Information Officer for the Fire Department, Andrew Freeborn. Andrew, thank you for being here.
Hey, good morning, Mike. Thank you for letting me come on.
This has been around for quite some time. We were just talking 14 years it's been in existence. And how many children have safely been surrendered?
Yes, there have actually already been 84 children that have benefited from this, mothers who have benefited from this since its inception.
You know, this is something that we talk about at this time each year, and then sometimes I think we lose track of when these events actually happen. A baby is safely surrendered. What kind of an impact does it have within the fire department community?
It has a tremendous impact. You know, the firefighters, we all train for emergencies. We train for even delivering babies in a pre-hospital setting. But typically, just as an emergency kind of comes out of nowhere, the safely surrendered babies that are left with personnel at the station, that comes out of nowhere as well. And so it's something that we're always kind of reflecting on throughout the year, making sure our kit is readily available, making sure the signage is on the front of the fire station, making sure that the firefighters are ready if the need arises.
Is there one incident that you could refer to that you remember where a baby was surrendered locally?
You know what, not that I was personally involved with, but when speaking